Well, I really hope everything is recording correctly because I just set everything up and it took me a second with the camera because the camera wasn't cooperating, and then the microphone was only recording. Um, the microphone was only recording on StreamYard, but not in the actual like Audacity app that I use in order to record in the first place. So I don't know what the fuck is going on. Hopefully everything is. I mean, obviously, I tested it here on StreamYard, so anyone watching live right now is getting everything just fine. Um, and then, worst case scenario, I can just pull the audio from the StreamYard and load it onto the podcast app. But it's all just a bunch of bullshit. That's just annoying as shit. It's a lot of extra work that I don't want to do because I do all of this mostly for free. Um, Fortunately, Strikeforce Energy shoots me some money once in a while. But other than that, this show is basically free. Strikeforce Energy basically pays for the hosting. Yeah, basically pays for the hosting of the show to the tune of about $10 to $15 a month, which is fine. That's great. Hey, as long as the hosting's being paid for, I think that I could say with relative confidence that all the equipment, minus maybe the laptop, all the equipment that I use, the camera, the microphone, the boom arm, the green screen was a gift from my mate. Um, but just about everything has been paid for. If you, I don't know, if you put it in terms of what I've made off of this show so far, in the course of 4 years. Holy fuck! This is the fourth year. Um, this show started almost 4 years ago to the day, um, January of 2019. This is when I started this little venture of mine, just rambling thoughts and whatever. Honestly, I didn't start it for anyone in particular. I didn't start it for me. I didn't start it for notoriety. I didn't start it because I thought that I had something fun to say. I just started it because I had been telling myself for years and I know that almost every fucking year I go through the same goddamn bullshit of telling you how the show started and where it's at. But I'm going to do it again, at least for at least for this year, I'm going to do it again. I'd been telling myself for years that I was going to do it. It started off as the trail report. I woke up one morning on a Sunday morning. I think it was a Sunday morning. I woke up and I was like, I'm fucking doing it. I've been telling myself for years I'm doing it, and this is all in my own head. I didn't vocalize this in any way, shape, or form. I was just like, I'm doing it. I've been telling myself for years I'm gonna do this. I woke up. I created a Gmail account for the Trail Report at gmail.com. A email that I don't I probably have access to. I just have no interest in looking at. I created an Instagram. I created a Facebook like page that day. I did a whole bunch of bullshit. I signed up for Libsyn right away. I went out that day and got my old laptop had a built-in webcam, so that wasn't a worry. But I went straight to Best Buy and bought a microphone, a shitty little microphone. It was like $40, I think, and it even came with a free video game. Because I guess, microphones and video games are something that go hand in hand these days. I don't really know how that works, but it does. Um, and I recorded my first episode, and I didn't tell anyone about it. I didn't, promote it in any way. I didn't share it on Facebook. In fact, I waited until I had 10 episodes, because I remember at the time hearing something that most podcasts only last about 7 episodes. Is how much you can expect to get out of any podcast. Most podcasts, people start a podcast. I had a friend once. I guess I still have the same friend, but he started a podcast and he starts this podcast and he had been like building up to it for months. He was messaging back and forth with me and a handful of other people. He was messaging back and forth like, what should I do with this? How do I do this? Can you preview my first episode? All this shit, right? And it was fine. No big deal. I don't care. But after months of all this preparation, and this guy is a nobody. This is not Bill Burr. This is not Tom Segura. This isn't Joe Rogan. This isn't anyone that anyone's ever heard of. This is a nobody. And this is only a couple years ago at this point. He sends me a message and he says, dude, he's so confused. He goes, dude, I don't get it. I uploaded my first episode and I only got 15 downloads. Like, what happened? I was like, are you out of your fucking mind? Like, 15 download, like, you are nobody. You're not somebody that anybody gives a fuck about. So, you have to build an audience and hope that audience will share their thoughts on your podcast with other people. That they might be like, oh, you know what, I really connected with this guy. You should hear what he has to say. And then they'll share that podcast with someone else, and hopefully it just keeps growing from there. For me, I never gave a shit about any of it. For me, I was just like, look, I walk around all day with these thoughts in my head, and I think I just want to put them out there, at least for nothing else, so that my loved ones would have something to go back to. There's a radio DJ host-ish, I don't know what to call him. He was a co-host on a morning show years ago, and he died in like 2014 or 15. His name was, his radio name, his pen name, if you will, was Andy Blacksmith. That wasn't his real name. His real name was Steven something. But Andy Blacksmith, he died from a heart condition, I don't know, probably 7-8 years ago now. And when he died, there was like this big outpour from the community of like, oh, it's so sad, he was such a great guy, but I thought, there are hundreds of hours, hundreds upon hundreds, if not thousands of hours of audio to go back and listen to this guy. Like, you can go back and hear his voice anytime you want. In fact, if you YouTube WHEB Andy Blacksmith right this moment, I bet you would be able to find some audio. And I thought to my own mother, who I have very, very little recollection of the sound of her voice. She died in 2006, so this is coming up on 17 years since my mom died. And for a long time, I was able to remember how she sounded, what her voice sounded like. And it wasn't very long ago I realized I could really only remember the sound of her voice saying my name. That's how much the sound of her voice had deteriorated at that point. And at this point now, I don't really have a great recollection of how she sounded. And short of anyone coming up with some sort of home video to play back to me, it's not likely that I'm going to be hearing her voice ever again. So I always thought that at the very least, if I start this little podcast of mine, even if I'm talking to no one, if something happened to me, then the people that I love and care about would at least be able to go back and listen and be reminded what my voice sounds like. Even if they're listening to I could go listen to my mother's voice right now and she could be talking about the fucking weather as far as I'm concerned. But I think that it would probably trigger my memory to be like, oh yeah, this is how it sounded when she would say, I love you. This is how it sounded when she would say, I'll see you later. So that was kind of my thought on, starting a podcast in the first place, was at least people would be able to remember how people that I care about, even if they don't listen to this show, would be able to remember how I sounded. And what's fucked up is that the people that I do care about, with the exception of my girlfriend, my mate, my love of my life, with the exception of her, the people that I actually give a fuck about, they're the least likely to be listening to any of this right now live. There are a couple of people who are, in some way, shape, or form, kind of, sort of, maybe, share a bloodline with me, who really only listen to this so that they have something to talk about later with someone else, which is kind of fucked up. That shit's not only fucked up, it's stupid. You have to be able to find something better to do with your life. If you are one of those people right now listening to this show, specifically hoping that you can go find You can go talk to another member of my family and be like, oh my God, did you hear what he said on his most recent episode? A, no, they don't because they didn't listen. And B, get a fucking life. Go fucking find something else to do. I don't know. Raise dogs or something. I don't know. Do something. So, with that, almost 10 minutes in, which is good because I'm trying to. I don't want. Oh, there's my. Two of my favorites. My mate, my girlfriend, and then also arguably my bestie, Jason Almy. My girlfriend and Jason Almy already checking in on the comments. Jason said, "Make a mold of your penis too. Leave that behind for posterity." And my mate said, Jason Almy, maybe he already has. Yeah, maybe I have. Maybe I have. They do sell that. You can still. I don't really advertise them very much anymore, but because they haven't paid me in a couple of years. But you can still use offer code adulting at adameve.com, where you can buy a. I can't remember what it's called. It's like Make a Willy or Build a Willy, something like that, where guys can go and get a kit to make a mold of their own. Make a mold of their penis. So yeah, do it. Try it out. Shout out to your mom's house there. Try it out. So anyways, moving on. I wanted to talk about. I know that my last episode was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm very, I do apologize. I did really, really good for a long time of posting Friday night episodes. It went really well for a long time. I think I did one right before the new year, and then last week I don't remember what happened. I don't know what happened, but I didn't do one last week. So excuse me. I do apologize. It's been a couple weeks since I posted an episode, but the last episode was called Healthy Comparisons. There was a couple things that I forgot to mention. So I'm kind of, I don't know if I'm going to dive back into that or not, or what I might be repeating from my last episode, so bear with me. I know that I talked about like some of these people who I don't know if the word idolize is correct, but people that I would love to look like, I guess is the best way to put it. I know that I touched on it months ago, how it's unfair how short people like Jason Almy, can work out and then look really good, but then the bigger that you are, you don't get to look like that. Like short guys, for some fucked up reason, these little tiny guys, these guys that are like 5'2", 5'3", like they if you see a picture of Jason Almy, all right, and he looks really ripped, but it's always kind of like I am right now, kind of like a green screen behind him. So you can't actually tell how tall he is or how short he is. You never see a full body picture from foot to forehead of Jason Almy, because you just if you go look at, if you are Facebook friends with him and you go look at his past profile pictures, you'll see the picture of like his wedding day, but he's very clearly standing on the soapbox that he covets so much. He's standing on top of that to make himself look a little bit taller. Or he's got those those special shoes that are like, they add like 3 or 4 inches to your height, to a guy. Guys that are super short, like Liver King. If you go to Instagram and look up it's either The Liver King or just Liver King, one of the two. He was recently outed for his steroid use. But he's 5'7". 5'7". That is a short man. I think, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm sorry for not knowing 100%, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, my girlfriend is 5'8". Okay, so a guy that's 5'7", that's a short man. Not as short as Jason Almy. Jason Almy is closer to like 5'2", 5'1". He's barely above. He barely makes the cut on little person. But even still, 5'7". Like, why do short guys always get this, like, they're able to Oh, look at my mate there chiming in. Comparison is the thief of joy. I think that I actually posted that, and now she's stealing my lines. Um, but short guys, for some reason, they get the fucking 8, 10 pack abs. I mean, they can really get ripped. They can really get shredded if they put the work in. But if you get above 6 foot, like look at The Rock. Look at Dwayne The Rock Johnson. He has and again, healthy comparisons, but he has a mostly shirtless, bottomless scene in Hobbs and Shaw, in the movie Hobbs and Shaw. Um, he's not like crazy ripped. He's not, he is The Rock. He's The Rock that we all know and love, but he's not the picture that I saw of Jason Alme at his peak. But Jason Alme is like 5'2", so I guess it's what do you want? What do you want the 10 pack abs with the really ripped everything, or do you want to be 6'3", 6'4" permanently? Because personally, I'll take the height. I saw an article not long ago from Chris Evans. Chris Evans was kind of talking about his time, anytime that he had to spend time shirtless. Also, Hugh Jackman, anytime he had to spend time shirtless as Captain America and Wolverine, respectively. Right before they had to do those shirtless scenes, they would go do like big, like muscle building pumps. They do some bicep curls or some chest presses or whatever to get those muscles built up. So these things that you sometimes see in movies, they're not something that you can keep up with all the time. Like you can't just randomly take your clothes off and look like that. Um, it's very odd to me. Like you look at bodybuilding competitions. I have two friends who have done bodybuilding competitions and have also admitted to me some form of steroid use. And and then before these bodybuilding competitions, you have to you're so crazy. You're knocking on death's door before a bodybuilding competition because you're so crazy dehydrated just to show off all of your muscles, which is strange because that is what is considered the ideal male physique, is basically next to death. If you can barely stand up because you're so dehydrated, no way. Okay. I love you, first of all, but I also just posted the comparison is the thief of joy. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it. Now that I'm thinking about it, she might have posted that a few weeks ago or a couple months ago. And then I might have posted something else a day or two later. And now my brain waves are getting crossed on who posted which post. But I don't know. Now I'm gonna have to find out eventually, but not at this moment because I'm recording a show. If I'm wrong, then I'm sorry. By all means, not going to be the first or last time that I was wrong. But either way, getting back to it, it's very strange to me how the ideal male body seems to be at the edge of death. Like that's not what you. I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to my mate. I'm not talking to any other girl out there. I'm not talking to any guy out there. But for whatever reason, somehow media, society, whatever, considers this to be the ideal male physique is next to death's door. You are completely dehydrated, oiled up for whatever reason. Just it's weird. And when I first started working out, I heard someone say, kind of a semi joke, but also kind of true. If you can't tone, then tan. Which basically means if you don't want to go to the fucking gym, then go tanning, and you will look better just by tanning. And it's 100% true. which is very odd to me. Like, why? Like, what if you were just like, you know what? I think that has more to do with shading. Um, I don't. I think that like if you have like, you know, six pack abs, let's say, and but you never tan. You're a white person. You're a Caucasian male, and you never go tanning. You never even spend any time out in the sun. Um, but you are out, you know, working out hard and doing all the crunches and stuff, and you have fucking six pack abs. Um, Next to a guy who is also, let's say, also a Caucasian male who does the same thing, but he tans because of the shading on those abs. I think it would look better. Personally, that's my belief. That's why I think that statement rings true. Any fucking ways, let's move. I've spent way too long on this whole fucking topic. um, who posted better? I don't know. I have a fun story, sort of a fun story. I'm gonna mask some names here because I don't want to give anyone away, but I am gonna tell the story anyways because it's funny to me, and that's the thing is that this happened. You're gonna have to take a trip through my mind as I tell this story because no one else saw it but me, and I thought it was fucking hysterical. So maybe close your eyes. I don't fucking know. I don't know how we're going to do this, but we're going to do it nonetheless. All right, so hold on. So about a month ago, me and my mate, my girlfriend, my love, we go to her annual work Christmas party. Let me just crack this beer. All right. We go to her annual work Christmas party, and which obviously everyone knows she's a police officer. So after the party is over, or nearing the end of the party ended around like 9 o'clock. And she says, you know, you want to go get a drink at a bar downtown in Portsmouth? I said, yeah, sure, let's go. So we go to this other bar, just the two of us, and she's texting with someone who was also at that party, the police party. And they say, oh, you know, this person, whoever it was, says, oh, we're at this bar, which happens to be right next to the bar that we are already at. So we go to this other bar to have a couple drinks and continue conversing with all of these people. And so we're shooting the shit with these people. It's all police officers, right? So this bar is with the exception of the people that were at the original police party, this bar is mostly empty. Okay? Follow me so far? I hope so. Let's find out. So there's like 25-ish people in this bar. Most of them are either in law. There's probably 30 to 35 people in the bar, but 25 of them are from the party we were just at. Okay, and out of that 25, probably about 10 or more, maybe 12, are actually in law enforcement, and then you also have like their significant others or friends or whatever that also came out to the bar. Or maybe some of these officers are single, whatever. So the 25 are in some way affiliated to law enforcement. Out of the 30 to 35 that are actually in the bar in total. Now this guy, because the song Jack and Diane, you know, little ditty about Jack and Diane, that song, because that's what we're going to call husband and wife, okay? Husband and wife in this story is Jack and Diane. Diane, I don't know, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Wanted, looks good, I guess. It's Jack and Diane, the two of them are talking, and this homeless guy, and I'm going to call him a homeless guy. I don't care if he's not homeless or not. He certainly looked to me like a guy who stood on a sidewalk under a bridge all day with a sign that said, you know, down on my luck, anything helps. And people were giving him dollars all day. And his shift under the bridge has ended. And now he's going to the bar to have a couple drinks. For whatever reason, this homeless guy walks into the bar. He immediately identifies Diane as someone that he wants to talk to, which doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, that was really, I mean, he was aiming pretty high. He's a homeless man. And she was put together. Pretty much everyone in the bar was put together in comparison to this guy. For whatever reason, he sees her, he goes right up to her, and he said something. I don't know what it was because I wasn't close enough. I assume it was probably something it was something not crazy crass, but definitely something you don't say to a woman who's with someone. Maybe something you might say to a woman who's not with someone. But either way, he comes walking up. She looked, I'm standing about 10 feet away. I see the whole thing take place. I'm standing about 10 feet away, and she looked like she probably was like, oh, thank you, have a nice night. But then he continued to talk. And Jack is her husband. Jack and Diane. Jack is her husband. And he tolerated this homeless man for 30 seconds. And then he was like, you need to go. And homeless man at first was like, fuck you, I'm talking to this woman. And he kept talking to her. And Jack was like, I'm not having this, you need to go. And I think he put hands on him. I can't remember. But he tells this guy, you need to go. And you see, I saw anyways, if you're looking through my mind's eye right now, I see 10 police officers off duty just convene right on this spot, right? And this homeless guy, finally Jack gets through to the guy. It didn't take anyone else. No one else was involved in this entire thing. Jack fucking makes this guy understand, you need to fucking go. And finally this guy's like, whatever, man, fucking fine, whatever. I'm just going to fucking walk away, all right? I was just trying to have a conversation. He makes a big but then he clicks and he realizes that all of these other people have suddenly come around him. And he walks and he's like, I see him walking away to the bar and he's like, what the fuck just happened? And he goes to the bar and has his drinks and he never bothers anyone for the rest of the night. But I just thought to myself, like, how fucked up, like, what in his mind was that like? Because imagine yourself going into a bar where it looks like, because again, there's 25 people there, but not everyone is just hanging out in a group. Like, people are talking to their significant other. Maybe they're having a conversation with a friend of some sort. But there's 25 people there, and it looks like any bar that you walk into. If you walked into any bar tonight and you see just a group of people, then you would walk in expecting that all of these people are mostly strangers. Most of these people, like maybe some of them will meet throughout the night, but most everyone is strangers, right? He walks into this bar and he talks to this one girl, and then all of a sudden there's just people converging around him, and he has no idea that everyone there is like, they are like trained killers to just fucking smash him outside if they fucking want to, like. And he's walking away because he made the right decision. He's walking away going, what was that? What just happened? That was the thought. Like, I wish that I had a video camera going. I wish other people could have seen it. It was so much fun to just watch all of this happen. He was just this one homeless man, and I am going to continue to call him a homeless man, because I think he was. I'm fairly certain. I can say with reasonable confidence that if he wasn't homeless, he was definitely getting assisted through life in some way. I love the look on his face as he walked away, to be like, because it wasn't like he realized, oh shit, there's a bunch of his friends here. He didn't realize that part. I don't think he realized that part at all. He just was very confused as Jack gets it through his head, you need to go. As that moment happened, he's realizing that like 7 or 8 really big guys are coming up to him to escort him away from Jack and Diane. So Yeah, it was really great. So that was my thought on that. How much time do I have left? I got to talk to my girlfriend here very soon. 20. I got a few minutes. We have another missing white woman. I think that she's probably in pieces in some fucking garbage place. Um, I mean, anyone could have called it. There was one not more than a few weeks ago. What's interesting, it's not funny by any means. What's interesting to me is that maybe a month and a half ago, there was a missing woman in California. You probably missed this one. Um, Missing woman in California, um, who, in the end, the husband kills her, but she's missing. And that one was on the news for a night or so. And I remember seeing it and telling my girlfriend, oh, husband probably killed her. I think that she like dropped the kids off, and then the next thing no one hears from her, she's dead. No major surprises or anything. Typically, the husband is the one that did it. Unfortunately, there are a handful of cases here and there, once in a while, where the husband did not do it, but he gets arrested and convicted anyways because it's just usually the case the husband did it. But not in this one in California or wherever it was a month or two ago. I remember seeing it on the news. Mother two missing or something like that. And I looked at Roe and I said, probably the husband killed her. And I think it was a day or two later, for sure, it shows up. Husband arrested. Blood found in the apartment or something like that. What's interesting is this one a couple months ago that I just talked about in California. That was a woman of color. That was I don't remember. I don't think that she was black. I think that she was of Hispanic descent. Um, but nonetheless, woman of color. Nonetheless. Then last weekend, or well, I guess the wife went missing on New Year's Day. Husband doesn't report her until Wednesday of that week, and then he's arrested a handful of days later. And they're finding blood, and they're finding these fucking hatchets or fucking jigsaws or whatever they found. And this guy, when you see him come walking, but I have to fight myself. I don't want to get too much into that. The problem for me is that the media covers it so fucking much. The media and people in general are just so hyped about it. They're like, people are hyped. It might be a bad word to use, but they're like so interested in this whole thing. This woman's not even natural born American. Like, she's just a white woman, and clearly, I think that she was. If she wasn't the breadwinner, she made her fucking money. She wasn't the fucking stay-at-home nanny for this guy. Okay, the guy, I don't know what the guy did for work. I don't know dick about him. But, I mean, if she was flying to and from Washington for work, then she wasn't a stay-at-home mom. She wasn't working at the corner store or something like that. She was obviously a somebody. And if I had to take a guess, she's probably looking to leave her husband. This isn't Chris and Shanann Watts, which, again, another fucking white couple. Hey, look, I'm white, okay? I can fucking talk like this. I'm as white as they come. I can talk like this all I want. Chris and Shannon Watts, another fucking white couple who got this. They got the fucking Netflix video, or movie or whatever. There's an hour and a half documentary about Chris and Shannon Watts, and that one. The only argument I would make about that one is that it might be one of the very first husband-wife domestic murders where police body cams were really pivotal in conviction, in getting everything done. Because it happened in like 2014 or 15 or something like that. So the body cams were on and everything. You don't usually get that unless, in the 80s or 90s you had like cops following you around. The show, Cops, that is. But either way, you got another missing white woman. And so immediately, I think it was, I don't even think the husband had been arrested yet. I think it was later that night. I went on, there's a website out there. I talked about it a couple months ago called Black and Missing in America, or maybe it's, no, Black and Missing Foundation is the name of it, right? Let me make sure that I get that right before I Black and Missing Foundation. Yes, it is. It's blackandmissinginc.com. Blackandmissinginc.com. Black and the word black and missing inc.com. Excuse me. Yeah, I immediately go on. I donated $10. Not much. That's not a lot of money. But it's crazy, and I shared it. Then I go and I share it to Facebook that I donated $10, because there are just so many minorities that are missing out there. I listen to all these, the Vanished, Dateline, Missing in America. There's all these cases out there of missing minorities. Same thing with indigenous people. Native Americans, however you want to call them anymore. There's all these missing person cases, and sometimes it's murders, sometimes it's sex trafficking, sometimes it's just fucking drug trade. Who the fuck knows? But it's wild how minimalized it is in the media. And then you take another fucking rich white woman, another fucking pretty blonde white woman goes missing, and suddenly the media cares. And I don't think that any one person is responsible. I don't think that any one person is specifically racist. I think that if you look at like who was I listening to? Oh, it was David Goggins. I was I'm reading his new book. I'm reading Goggins' new book, and because my mate got it for me for Christmas, and he talks in the book about his father. I think it might have been his stepfather. I'm pretty sure it was his stepfather. It was his stepfather. In fact, I know it was his stepfather. He had a stepfather that was in the Air Force, and the stepfather was like, oh, I'm wrong. It was his grandfather. It was his mom's father. So it was his grandfather. His grandfather was an Air Force vet, and he was kind of a big influence on the life of David Goggins. I highly recommend reading the book. I highly recommend reading Can't Hurt Me and Never Finished by David Goggins. Those are both really great books. But in Never Finished, he talks about his grandfather. And his grandfather had this friend of his who they'd been friends for years. And his grandfather's a black man. They'd been friends for years upon years and years. And they were great friends. This guy would come over all the time. He'd have beers. They'd sit on the porch, shoot the shit. They'd talk about fucking everything. And one day, this guy, I don't know if he just got drunk enough or whatever, and Goggins said the same thing. I don't know if he just got drunk enough to feel comfortable to do this or what. But while they're sitting on the porch, he pulls out his KKK membership card, which I didn't know was a real thing. I mean, that's almost as stupid as naming yourself the Grand Dragon, but whatever. Or Grand Wizard, whatever they call themselves, the fucking stupid-ass KKK. But either way, he pulls out his KKK membership card, and he shows it to Goggins' grandfather. I don't know why. I don't know if he ever mentioned why he showed it to him. Maybe it was just a, like, hey, I'm a member of the KKK, but, you're a really cool black guy. I don't fucking know. But, either way, he shows it to him, and his grandfather goes, well, I guess this means that we can no longer be friends. And they never were. They never spoke again after that day. That, according to Goggins, according to the book and whatever. And when Goggins' grandfather died, this guy came to the funeral, and he asked Goggins' grandmother, like, hey, I'd like to pay my respects. I really loved your husband. I'd really like to, say my last goodbyes. I know that we weren't friends for a lot of years. Do you mind, I'll just, no worry. He wasn't saying like, I don't want to admit that I was friends with your grandfather. It was more like, I understand why your grandfather didn't like, or why your husband didn't like me. And he says, I will just come through the back and nobody needs to see me or anything. And this guy's wife was like, no, you will come through the front. You will come through the front like everyone else. And that's what he would want. So I don't believe that any one particular person is I think there's plenty of fucking racists out there. There's plenty of fucking racists out there. There's plenty of people that are fucking have hate in their heart for no fucking reason. But when it comes to like what you see in the media, I don't think that like if you see like a specific news anchor, it's unlikely that that news anchor is racist. They're probably just reading back whatever the fuck they whatever they think is the hot story, and they might not even think it's a hot story. They might if you see something in the news like this fucking Anna Walsh in Massachusetts who's missing, it's not that the reporter thinks that that's an important story to cover. It's that someone thinks it's an important story to cover. Anyways, it's just very odd how the media works, and I don't know who pulls the strings there. We may never know as it stands. All right, 40 minutes in, 8:54. I told my girlfriend we would talk at 9 o'clock. I think that's going to do it for me. I'm good. When I say I told my girlfriend we were going to talk at 9 o'clock, I don't mean like we're in a fight or any. I sure as fuck could not do this if we were in the midst of any sort of. I just told her I'd be done. What I meant by that is I'd be done by 9 o'clock. I'd be done doing this by 9. And it's Saturday, and I want to have some drinks, and I don't know, watch some shit. We are almost done with True Blood. I am hoping tomorrow night we're going to be done with True Blood. I think, if I remember right, we have like 2.5 episodes left. I think we have, I know we have 20 minutes left of whatever the last episode was we were watching. And just like Ozark, I'm watching this right now thinking, how are they going to wrap this up in 2 episodes? Even with Ozark, so far, and True Blood may prove me wrong, Ozark was one of the ones that I was like, this show can't be wrapped up. Because Ozark got down to 25 minutes. I remember turning the TV off with 25 minutes left in the last episode of Ozark and saying, how are they going to wrap all of this up in 25 minutes? I don't know. So Ozark, what else? Is there anything else like really crazy? Like, I don't know, maybe The Shield. I might have been like that with. Rescue Me, I think I was like that with. Rescue Me was one of those ones where I was like, how do they wrap all this up? And I guess, there's some shows that are just never going to fully satisfy you. Like Lost. I've watched Lost from start to finish 3 times, and I don't think it ever fully satisfies on an ending. So who knows? We'll see. 24. I thought 24 was a great show because every season had a beginning and an end, and you didn't need to go. Most of the seasons, there was a couple seasons where you kind of had to go into next season, but most of the seasons were kind of like, yeah, okay, cool. If this show ended right now, I'd be okay with it. I'd have to go back and watch season 6, I think I'd have to go back and watch season 6, 7, and 8 to know for sure that they continued along that line of like, do you really need to see more? Season 6 kind of ended with like, okay, I'd be fine if this show ended right now. And then they did 2 more seasons, and then they did 2 half-ass seasons. So we'll see. 2.5 episodes to go, at least. It might be 3.5 episodes to go on True Blood. So I'm excited to finish it finally. I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but I know that I watched the first 4 seasons years ago, probably like 2014 or 15. I think I watched the first 4 seasons, and then I kind of got bored and didn't like it. So I went, fuck it, I don't need to watch this show. And then one night, about 4 or 5 months ago, Ro was like, hey, I'm doing whatever in the kitchen. You can put whatever you want to on TV. And I was like, do you mind if I watch True Blood? And she was like, what do you mean watch? I was like, I'm going to start season 1, episode 1. And she said, yeah, sure, you can watch True Blood. And it was actually kind of funny because we probably had like a month of a break between watching. Like we picked up on other shows. We picked up on a couple other shows, and I kept telling her, like, I want to, like, we were in season 4, I think, when this happened. I was like, I really want to finish True Blood. And she kept saying, like, well, True Blood's going to be there, okay? True Blood isn't going anywhere. Don't worry about it, okay? We have to watch, we have these other shows that we want to watch. I was like, okay, fine. And we talked about it a few times, and she was like, look, I've already seen True Blood. I already know how the show ends and everything. So you don't need me around to watch True Blood. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I didn't understand that. I guess now I understand that. Thank you very much. Now I get it. Okay, fine. And so one night, she's on the phone with a friend, and she's upstairs in like the bedroom or something. And I'm like, oh, well, she's gone. I'm gonna fucking put on True Blood. So I start watching True Blood, and I get like 20 minutes into an episode, and she comes downstairs on the phone still, and she was like, stop! You shut it off right now. You shut it off. Get out of there. So I did, and then after she got off the phone, she was like, okay, so I know what I said about you can watch it without me, but I didn't realize that it was going to get really good again. So, you know what? We need to watch it together. So now we're back to watching it together. So I think we have 2.5 episodes to go. So I don't know. We'll finish that this weekend, maybe. But other than that, 4hmclothing.com. StrikeForceEnergy.com. Offer code adulting at both of those websites, and you can get varying degrees of discounts. Also, AdamEve.com if you fucking really want to, but fuck those. If you feel so inclined to go to AdamEve.com for anything, honestly, actually, I would like it if you did. Excuse me. I'd like it if you did, and here's why. I'd like it if you did. And you use my offer code, because and let me know that you did, because I would like to know if they send me anything. If they send me a fucking email, they're supposed to send me an email with an invoice. So I would like to know, if you end up buying something from AdamEve.com, I would love for you to let me know. Hey, I bought something. I used your offer code adulting to get the fucking 50% off one item, and the free shipping, and the gift for him, gift for her, gift for both, the 6 free DVDs, all this shit. I would like for you to let me know that you used my offer code, and that way I can be like, hey, this person said they used my offer code, and I also noticed I haven't gotten paid from you guys for 18 months, so who the fuck else used my offer? Why don't you go back, look at all the offer codes, come back to me, and tell me how much money you owe me, okay? So that's going to do it for me. Happy Saturday, everyone. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Don't add to the population. Don't subtract from the population. Have a good night. Bye.